Welcome to the AWS Roadmap 2021 for becoming an AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional. My name is Syed, and thank you for tuning in to ClayDesk. This is your e-learning channel, the #1 channel. We teach over 1 million students online, and we're super excited to bring you the latest roadmap. And we're going to talk about what this roadmap entails and how do you actually get from point A all the way to Z. That's the idea and that's the goal. So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. I'm going to walk you step by step as to how to eventually reach the objective and reach your goal of becoming an AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional. Now, keep in mind, guys, that this is a journey. So it's not going to happen in a day, a 2 week, or month, right? It takes months and years of not only a little bit of hard work, practice, but more importantly, it's your dedication and the commitment that you provide or that you give to becoming a DevOps professional. So let's jump right in. This is just a brief overview of the AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional, which is basically an individual who performs a DevOps engineer role with 2 or more years of experience in provisioning, operating, and managing AWS environments. Now, if you're just starting off in your career and you're thinking, well, geez, this is going to take me 2 years to become a DevOps professional, well, it doesn't have to be. All right, so we are going to go ahead and take a look at a simple, easy steps that you can take from start to finish, and that's the goal of today's video. All right, so I'm going to start with the basic definition of what is DevOps so you really understand how things work. So you're probably thinking, the fundamental questions: what is DevOps? Where did it come from? What problems led to DevOps? How does it work? And how widely is it used today? Why are people even getting into DevOps and the benefits? So just briefly, it's a great article. I'm going to go through it so you understand the basics, and then I'm going to jump right into the actual roadmap. And you can break the roadmap into smaller pieces, and then you can of course attempt to gain the relevant experience. So, and I'm going to also show you the live AWS Management Console and the free tier accounts, or everything, right? But just step by step. First, I'm not going to read all of this. You can take a look at this, but just briefly, I'm going to talk about what DevOps is. It's basically taking the software development department and then your engineering or operations department and kind of merging into a single entity. That's the goal. That's just the layman definition of DevOps. It represents a change in IT culture, guys. It is not a hardcore programmer position. It's not something that you sit on your computer all day long. So like I said, it's really a change in IT culture focusing on rapid IT service delivery, which means it's just basically software development from start to finish, from creation all the way to the client end. And that's what DevOps represent, right? And throughout this process, or throughout this DevOps lifecycle, there are many steps. And that's pretty cool because that's what you will be learning, that's what you will be practicing, and then gaining relevant experience. So the basic definition right now, let's take a look. DevOps represents a change in IT culture focusing on rapid IT service delivery through the adoption of agile, lean practices. A couple of buzzwords, right? So it simply means that you're breaking bigger tasks into smaller chunks, right? So think about this. It's just layman. I'm just talking layman so you guys can understand how and what you're getting into. All right, so once you adopt these principles or lean practices in the context of system-oriented approach, DevOps emphasizes people and culture and seeks to improve collaboration between operations and dev teams. And that's exactly what I mentioned earlier. So it's a combination of 2 different departments or 2 different teams, and it's simply improving the collaboration between the 2. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be technical. You definitely have to be a technical person as well, so that you can understand how the development environment works, right? How the dev team works. So for example, if development teams are working in Java or Python programming languages, you ought to be able to know exactly how that works. And of course, operations such as solutions architect or monitoring, logging, and just basic administration, or maybe site reliability engineering, and so on. So all of this is just kind of combining both of these departments, and so you can understand the importance right away of a DevOps engineer. So let's continue. DevOps implementations utilize technology, especially automation tools, and this is the key word here, is automating processes. So a DevOps engineer simply provides the expertise to automate existing processes. And that makes sense because enterprise companies or large organizations, they're looking to save money, right? To grow their profits, to save money, and of course, to enhance their operational efficiencies. And the only reason, or one of the ways, important mechanism to enhance operational efficiencies by automating your existing processes. So a DevOps engineer simply uses the automation tools that can leverage an increasingly programmable and dynamic infrastructure from a life cycle perspective. So now you understand the basic definition of what is DevOps. And I also mentioned the importance of being a DevOps engineer. So importantly, the meaning of DevOps has broadened to be an umbrella term for the processes, culture, and mindset used to shorten the software development lifecycle. Boom, there you go. That's what DevOps engineer does, is simply takes the entire software development lifecycle from start to finish and then automates it so it shortens it using fast feedback loops, testing to deliver features, fixes, and updates more frequently. All right. So now you know what DevOps is. You can take a look at the rest of the history, where it came from and whatnot. But since you have the basic DevOps definition pinned down, let's take a look at some of the roadmaps. Let's dive right into the roadmap, for example. So AWS offers several certifications, by the way. If you navigate to our site at ClayDesk.com, you will notice this infographic right here talks about and shows you AWS Certified Solutions Architect, Associate Professional, SysOp Admin, Developer Associate, Cloud Practitioner, which is the base level foundation, and then eventually the higher level, which is the DevOps Engineer Professional. So many students ask, well, where do we start? Which certification is better or the best? And how do I end up being a DevOps engineer? And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. All right. So this is just the basic chart, various AWS certifications career paths. So let's focus simply on the actual DevOps and becoming a DevOps engineer. So the learning path for let's say becoming a DevOps professional varies. All right. So there's not a standard path that you can take. Well, for example, you cannot do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and boom, you're a DevOps engineer. There are many different ways, and the reason how AWS has structured this, for example, is because every individual has different skill sets. For example, you may be a programmer, or you enjoy coding, right? So you could take that route to become a DevOps professional, or you may be a non-programmer background, or you're not too much interested in programming per se, but you're pretty good at infrastructure, network engineering, so maybe that route, right? So either way, there are many ways you can become and achieve the status of a DevOps engineer professional. So the very first thing that you want to be able to start to learn, for example, or dive into, is simply learning about cloud computing, right? And the way I would like to recommend, and all my students, is learn by doing, right? So it's hands-on. Don't be afraid, just get into it. And the first thing you want to do is just create a free tier account at AWS, right? So you just navigate to aws.amazon.com, or you can search for it, AWS free tier, and you will navigate it to this page. Go ahead, create a free account. It doesn't hurt. Definitely, you are a tech-savvy individual. You want to be able to get into the DevOps or the AWS ecosystem. So create a free tier account. It's absolutely free, but of course, make sure you take a look at all the caveats, such as what is all provided in the free tier account. So under the details, you can take a look at all of this. For example, EC2 instance is 750 hours, and I'm going to talk about what that is and all these technical terms once we dive into the roadmap and I continue to explain the steps. So the first step is simply create a free tier account. All right, perfect. So once you have the free tier account, and by the way, also take a look at the frequently asked questions page, because after 1 year, and also note, very important, that not all services are included in the free tier account. So you may want to be able to understand what's all included. So once you log in to the AWS ecosystem, you don't want to touch base on certain services or tools, but that's going to cost you AWS is going to start charging you. So be careful. Read through all of this, right? So this is your first task as becoming a DevOps engineer. So since you know the definition of DevOps, that was step number 1, to know the definition. Step 2 is, of course, creating the free tier account. And once you have the free tier account, all you need to do is just simply log in. So I'm going to show you the actual management console. So you can actually take a look at and see what all the tools and services are all about. So once I'm logged on to the AWS Management Console, boom, you are on the AWS platform, guys. This is how it is. So the easiest way is to take a look at all these services. For example, if I click on all services, boom, you're going to see a whole list of all of these things, like compute category has EC2, Lightsail, Lambda, and so on, and then management and governance category, security, identity, and compliance, containers. Now, this could be overwhelming for new students or individuals who are just diving into AWS. But don't worry, guys. I mean, no one knows all of these services, right? Because and AWS continues to add tools and services like every other month, right? So it's just crazy. So keeping up with technology is really important, right? Because as you grow into AWS ecosystem, your experience grows, your practice even grows. So you want to be able to learn as much as possible. And that's, technology is a continuous learning process, right? It just does not end. All right. This is the management console. And this is where you can start to create servers, you can deploy applications and what not. So this is the first step is create a free tier account, dive into AWS, start to explore all of these services. For example, if I click on EC2 instance, this is the server that you can spin up and then later on use it. It's going to navigate to all these areas where you can kind of take a look at this, start to read, get yourself familiarized with all of what is going on, and then of course you learn. And of course, if you go to our YouTube channel, for example, right here, we have a free course on AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, latest course that we just put in with all the updates. Go check out. It's a 3-hour course, and that's step 3, guys, in becoming a DevOps engineer, right? So that's step 3. Check it out. You don't want to miss it. Perfect. Let me show you, in fact, what that looks like. All right, so this is the course that I'm just talking to. This is step number 3. You need to take the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner right here on our ClayDesk e-learning. So this course, by the way, right? This is how you would end up taking a full 3-hour course. We talk about the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. And by the way, this is a very, very popular course that we have on our channel. Many of students have actually passed the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, which is, of course, the 3rd step in the roadmap, but it'll be your first step. So once you take this course, you practice, because all of our learning is hands-on. So we demonstrate everything that is happening step by step. So you just kind of follow the entire course. You can take it here. If you want to take a paid course, you can go to claydesk.com. You can join the membership here, of course, which gives you unlimited courses, right? So you can take a look at or enroll into any of our full courses if you were to join, for example, the ClayDesk eCampus or our e-learning platform. And that's pretty cool, because that way all of the courses, you have access to all of them, and I think it's just $19 a month, so it's not too bad. So it's up to you. You can learn it free on YouTube, that's fine, or you can go to our claydesk.com and then sign up there. All right, perfect. So this is step number 3, right? First step, let's rewind, was of course our definition of DevOps. Second is creating a free tier account, because that's diving into hands-on. Third was getting into or taking a look at this AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner course, or you can take it on AWS or ClayDesk.com. Either way, that's about 23 hours of course that we have here, AWS Certified DevOps Engineer. So if you wish to go this route, that's perfectly fine too. All right, step 4. Once you actually go through this course, get yourself certified, boom, now fundamental knowledge of solid understanding of how AWS works. So you ought to be able to, in fact, take a look at all of these services that I just showed you, like EC2 instance, for example, or other instances, right? So you'll be pretty well versed. Now it's going to take you about 2 months, 3 months, or even 4 months, maybe even higher, depending on how fast you would like to learn, how much time you have, at your disposal, whether you want to do this full time, whether you want to do this part time, and so on. So every student is different, coming from a different circumstance or background. But once you gain the certification of AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, you're pretty good. So that's the entry level into AWS. All right. So once you have that, the next step is to get into the solutions architect. And let me show you, the certification is called the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate level, right? Which is right here. So that's what I'm talking about. You want to be able to take this particular course. And by the way, this is also free. This is free on our YouTube channel. And yeah, it's right here. I want to show you this right here. AWS Certified Solutions Architect full course. This is the AWS Certified Solutions Architect full course, guys. And this is about what, 7 hours, 5 or 6 hours, which is not bad. So you want to be able to take this. This is also a very popular course on our platform here. Or you can go to ClayDesk.com and then enroll here, because this is about almost 7 hours. And once again, guys, this is all hands-on. This is absolutely wonderful to learn. This is the most popular here at ClayDesk.com, on our YouTube, on Udemy, and whatnot, right? So we're super happy, and of course we thank you, all of you, who has enrolled and was passed and became a certified solutions architect. So is actually getting into this now. This is also going to take you about 4 months, 6 months to get to that level where now you're designing architecture, you understand in depth AWS and how does it work. All right. So for example, you'll take a look at the resilient architectures, the best practices, performant architectures, storage, block storage, databases, security, identity, access management, and so on, right? So that's the idea. Once you become a certified solutions architect, boom, now you're ready to become a DevOps engineer professional, or at least get to that level. So the DevOps exam is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, is for individuals who want to be able to bridge the gap between the dev and the software departments, or the software development, or the devs. Okay, now it validates your ability to implement and manage continuous delivery systems and methodologies on AWS. Now, continuous delivery systems, in layman terms, guys, that's exactly what we mean by software development. So you develop certain software from end to the client end, right? That's the continuous delivery. In between, all of these steps and processes are your responsibility, and you are here to automate those processes. All right, because I'm going to show you the DevOps lifecycle next, so you understand what processes are all involved in all of these. So this is step 4 or step 5, where you get into the DevOps engineer professional. All right, so now that you understand the basics of the roadmap, I'm going to show you the DevOps lifecycle. All right, so this is the basic development versus operations, and that's exactly what DevOps is all about, where you combine, you take the mindset, you improve the culture, and of course you're also a technical individual. You understand development, you understand operations. The number one, it flows from the dev side, where is the version control. I'm going to talk about what that is, but just briefly so you understand what version control is. We mean this is the software version control. So remember, when you have, let's say you have an app on your mobile device and you get these updates, right? Yeah, like updates on Apple or Android updates. This is basically behind the scenes is all version control, right? So because new updates, new software is being installed and updated, right? That's version control in a nutshell. And then continuous integration, release management and monitoring, high availability and data locality. So the DevOps engineer is basically going from 1 all the way to 4 and beyond to the client end so that everything is run smoothly. So let me show you the life cycle now of how kind of DevOps works. So we come up with a business or use case, for example, an idea of something that needs to be developed. Let's say you would like to develop a new app or new software, right? Based on a certain problem that people are facing, and you want to be able to solve those problems, and you come up with the software, right? That's the goal. So once you identify this, next is you provide this idea and the use case to the software development team, and they start developing software. Java, Python, whatever, Ruby, PHP, whatever language that developers want to use. They start to develop the software. And of course, they use various tools, right, to develop the software. So for example, this is the integrated development environment, and you can use Eclipse, you can use Cloud9, which is AWS, or you can use Visual Studio and so on. So this is the software development team. Once they develop the software, they use Git, right, which is a sort of like version control. Remember, we use Git to do the software check-ins. Then you do the automated software builds, and this is where Jenkins come into play. You might have heard of this, or you can use the code pipeline, AWS, and so on. There are many other softwares you can use to automate software builds, and then you run the test scripts. In other words, this is where the QA testing, the quality assurance testing of the software itself, right? Someone has to test it, someone has to monitor it. And all of this, by the way, could be an automated process, and that's the goal for a DevOps engineer. Now, once that is tested, you can deploy it, and this is also, again, an automated process. You can use Chef or Puppet softwares to complete these tasks. And then finally, monitoring and operations, right? Monitor your software, see how well your website is performing or your app is performing or any other software that you have developed. So this is the basic DevOps. And by the way, this is a full course here on our YouTube channel where you can take a look at that as well. Now, once you understand the DevOps lifecycle, of course, there are many tools that you can also take a look at that are part of all these different steps or within these different processes. Now, each of these tools, guys, these are all softwares that you need to learn, that you need to be able to work with. Not all of them, but at least the important ones, the basic ones, you need to get yourself very comfortable with any of these tools like Jira, for example, and the ones that I'm mentioning are very important, and these are relevant because from a practical viewpoint, from an industry viewpoint, that's what companies are looking for. So they're looking for so definitely want to be able to know Atlassian Jira, for example, then Visual Studio or Eclipse. Git is a must. GitHub or Git, both are absolutely vital to learn. You want to be able to learn Jenkins, okay? And that's important. And if you're not into QA testing, that's all right, but you want to be able to know QA testing also a little bit, like Selenium or SonarQube. And then of course AWS Docker is very important because that involves containerization of your app for faster and more secure delivery. So learning Docker and learning Docker containers is important. And then of course moving on to Chef and Puppet for delivering and configuration management tools. These are important as well. All right, so these are the tools that I mentioned are important for DevOps. Let's go back to our final stage, which is of course the AWS DevOps roadmap professional. So these are 5 steps. Now, in terms of months or years even that you need to go through all of these processes, and I've showed you all these courses that you can take hands-on and just kind of practice along with it. It will take you about a year or year and a half to 2 years, right, to in fact get to the DevOps Pro position. But guess what, guys? Before that, you'll be definitely an entry-level candidate and join a company. Once you are part of an enterprise organization, it's much easier to gain relevant experience because now you're actually working day in, day out with AWS ecosystem. Another step 6 that I like to mention and highlight once you throughout this entire process is learning a little bit of Linux or scripting. Okay, and that's important. It's not that difficult. It's just a matter of time. So please note that down for yourself to be able to learn the basics of fundamentals of Linux, and that's important because now you should be able to run short scripts. And you might be asking, why would I need to learn Linux? The reason why is because once you start to automate these processes, guys, it's through scripting. Okay, whether it's shell scripting, just basics, 4-line, 5-line, 10 lines, something like that, scripts. If you are a programmer or you like to have programming experience, then Python is certainly and highly recommended that you want to be able to learn Python programming as well. And once again, we have a full course of Python, intro and advanced, on our website at claydesk.com or on our YouTube channel. Either way, whatever it is, guys, it just depends on where you want to be, how do you want to take it. Okay. All right. So this is the roadmap. You want to be able to learn Linux a little bit, and of course shell scripting. The timeline, by the way, to get to the DevOps engineer is, once again, at least 1.5 to 2 years. Now, if you're at full time, if you're pretty smart and you want to be able to, you're passionate about this, you could probably do it less than a year. I've seen students who've actually started from scratch, changed their careers, and then boom, they are now DevOps engineer. So here's the domain structure, the examination for the DevOps engineer professional, the various categories or the domains that they test you on, and then the percentage of those on the exam. But each of these concepts, including hands-on, is covered throughout within our courses, or you can take other courses and search as well. Either way, I wanted to quickly cover the AWS Certified DevOps Roadmap from a practical viewpoint, not just theory, but this is how you would take. These are the concrete steps, guys, you would take. Let me know in comments if you would like to know exactly where you are. I can, of course, answer all of your questions. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and of course smash that like button, guys. This is super exciting. Thank you so much for watching this, and of course the bell notification so you get notified every single time we come up with a full course on our YouTube channel here on ClayDesk e-learning or on our website. All right, so I hope this kind of helps. And let me know if you still have additional questions. Post your questions in the commentary. I'll be happy to answer. In terms of your career progression or where you are in your AWS ecosystem, I'll be happy to answer any or all of your questions on this. So with this, thank you so much for tuning in. Just wanted to cover quickly the roadmap to becoming an AWS Certified DevOps Professional. My name is Syed, and ClayDesk is your #1 e-learning channel. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and I will see you guys next time.